Welcome back everyone, I hope you're all having an awesome day. On today's video, I'm on the latest beta release for the FM9. This is firmware 5, which adds gorgeous stuff like Dynacabs, the new Rev amp models, a bunch of other fun stuff that I've actually covered previously on the AXFX3 and the FM3. The FM9 now has all that stuff. Again, it is not a full release, so try it at your own risk. I will do an in-depth video once the full release is out though. For now, I want to show you two different ways you can incorporate two of your favorite amps into a single preset. So I'm going to go with two dirty amps in here, like a Boogie Mark IV and then a modded JCM 800. If you've watched any of my videos on the channel before, then chances are that you've heard me through this USA lead mid-gain model and my free LT TV Mix 7 cab IR. Check the video description if you want to grab that one. Low cut is at 80 Hertz in the cab block, high cut is at 10K. I've got this set up just like I'd set up a real Mark series amplifier, bass and mid quite low, treble cranked up. This is the curve that I have in the graphic EQ section. These are pretty much my live settings, so it looks like a massive mid cut and it looks like there's not a lot of high end coming in here, but two things to consider. These amps are very mid-range heavy, and playing live, you have, well, the Fletcher Munson style curves, so the more treble presence and overall brightness you have in there, as you go to extreme volumes, it's going to be really, really harsh. So I like to keep these down, and normally I would take this cab high cut a little lower as well, say to like 6500 Hertz. So with all of that in mind, on my DGT, this is what it sounds like. Very, very nice, very, very dirty indeed, but a lot of clarity in there. The next amp we're going to have a look at is the Brit 800 mod. I've been loving this one recently. So you can see the settings on there. I've added in a little bit of depth. I've just taken the master volume down a little bit from stock, and I have added the CC boost as a little bit of a tickle in the input there. A lot of people are going to hear this and just go, you made the two amps sound exactly the same. Maybe I did, but check it out. That one is not only a bit brighter, but there's this sort of like upper mid, high mid crustiness and sizzle that I'm not getting out of the Mark series out there. So I love both of them in there, and I could just switch between the two channels in the amp block if I wanted to do that. However, the FM9 and the AXFX3 give you two amp blocks, so you can set them up to change seamlessly between them, or if you liked, you could blend them. So let's set the first one up as a basic A or B style preset. So what I'm going to do here is I'll go to this little triangle next to the channel here. I'm going to go copy current channel to clipboard. I'm going to change the amp 1 channel back to channel A. We're going to bypass it and we're going to add amp 2. Then I'm going to paste that channel that I copied earlier, the Brit 800 mod, to channel A of amp 2. So I've got it again. Alrighty, so I have the Sizzly amp over there. The bypass mode is set to through on both of these. And what I'm going to do very, very easily in the scene manager is I'm going to bring up amp 1 and amp 2 over here. So for scene 1, let's set it up so that amp 1 is not bypassed, it's on, but amp 2 is bypassed, and we will do the opposite scenario in scene 2. So on scene 1, what I have, and I could name this, I could call this one Boogie, and I could call scene 2 800, or whatever you want to call it over there. Then when I flip between them, this will seamlessly switch between those two sounds. Then you might have a preference like the Boogie sounds nicer for leads and the 800 sounds nicer for playing rhythm guitar, or you just like the option of having either one in a preset at any time ready to go. You could use the scene ignore function on there to basically set it up so that when you bypass one and engage the other, that they're going to stay like that across all your scenes, or you can just set up different scenes with different amps there. One thing that I might do would be something like this in the boogie. I'll go to the ideal tab, I'll turn the fat switch and the input boost on, so I have way more gain. I've got this kind of pushed mid-range thing here, and I'd set up a delay or something like that, so this can be my lead sound. I'm going to dive into my blocks library and pull out some delay. Let's go for this golden lead delay over here. Let's bring the mix down a little bit. I'll hit save on this. And again, in Scene Manager, I'll just make sure the delay isn't on in Scene 2 over here. So you can see the delay is bypassed. This way I'll have nice seamless switching between a big lead sound and then that chunky, brighter 800 sound. The second way I could do this is if I like the character of each of them, and one's a bit darker and smoother, the other's a bit brighter and scuzzier, I could blend them together. So what I'm going to do is take these two amp blocks. They're both going to be on at the same time, but they're going to be connected in parallel. So very straightforward to set up. We'll route them in parallel. I'll make sure they're both engaged. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this USA lead mid gain. This is going to be my left channel. So I'm going to set the input select to left and pan it hard left. On the Brit 800 mod, I'll set the input select to right and pan it hard right. Then in the cab block, I'm going to change this to be a stereo cabinet. In cab 2, I'll just choose the exact same IR. If you wanted a different IR, you can play around with that. Personally, I just want kind of the same cab sound, just in stereo. Then what I'm going to do is pan each of these hard left and hard right to get started. So we'll have the boogie on one side and we'll have the 800 on the other side. I just have to play around with the levels in the 800 a little bit to make sure that they are balanced. This is the full stereo spread. That sounds massive. It's a little unbalanced though. I don't know if you could kind of hear there in stereo that one side is slightly louder than the other. So what I'll do is I'll turn the input boost and the fat switch off on the boogie. And this is one that I prepared earlier. I think these levels are kind of right. Minus 8.3 on the Brit 800 mod. What you could do is you could go into the tools section over here. You can bring up the preset leveling tool there and then just basically check these meters and also use your ears, because metering is one thing and perceived volume is another. Let's just see how these go now. That sounds pretty massive without chorus or pitch detune on there. Each amp has a very slightly different character. There's a lot of common ground in there, but that Marshall, like I said, it's brighter and scuzzier. The Mark is a little tighter, smoother, and more well-behaved. So when you spread them out like that in stereo, it sounds bunter. I think I'm going to bring the panning down a little bit. Let's go maybe minus 30 on each side, so there's not such a massive disparity in the stereo spectrum. We'll try that. Maybe let's go minus 50 on them. Then I could organize that into, say, my rhythm, my lead, my other scenes on there. I do like on the boogies being able to engage the fat switch and the input boost on a lead scene. The way I do that is with control switches per scene. It would be nice to get like some extra gain out of the Brit 800 as well. So what I'm going to do is set up a single control switch to do all of this. Let's go input boost on the boogie. We'll set that to control switch number 1, along with the fat switch. So when I turn that on, I have that big juicy lead boost on there. Then what I'm going to do with the preamp section of the Brit 800 mod, Let's leave that CC boost on all the time. I like what it's doing to the tone, but I'll right-click the boost level. Again, I'll set it to be the control switch. When the control switch is off, let's go for that around 8 dB. And let's take it up to like 15 or 16 dB on there so we really get saturated when we kick that control switch in. What I'm going to do is go to the controller section, control switch per scene, set them all off, but on scene 2, I'll set that one on. Furthermore, on scene 2, I'm going to bring in this dual detune delay in the pitch block just for a slightly different lead sound on there. What I really like about this mode is you can set the same delay time, some pitch offsets, and then have cross feedback between the voices. Reminds me of something you can do on the old Eventide H3000, which is actually why this got added in there. Big shout out to Cliff for adding that. It sounds amazing. So you can see in scene 2, on the Brit 800, we've got more boost, and on the Boogie, we've got the input boost and the fat switch engaged. So this is all going to switch seamlessly, which is very nice. So we've got our chunky sound, and then I'll let you hear the lead sound. Something like that. Anyway, this is a super satisfying preset. You know, there's only 2 scenes in there. There's only 4 blocks really, but the character that I'm getting out of each block is really, really satisfying. And again, another thing that I like is there's so many different ways to kind of grease up your lead sound on here. You can use just a delay or just a reverb or just a pitch block set up for delay, or you could use a combination of blocks on there. I'll show you another preset that I've set up, which is kind of all in and more the way I would use this, which features reverb, pitch detune, and these 2 amps blended together. So this is the slightly more built out version. It looks a lot like my main live presets, just with 2 amps in here. So you can see I've got the Brit 800 on the left this time and the USA lead mid gain on the right. Same setup in the cab block. This time I've got the London plate reverb. I've got some dual detune. I've got the vintage digital for a rhythmic style delay. I've got the multi-tap Aurora delay for my lead delays in there. I've got some multi-band compression if I want to tame the low end a little bit on that preset, a rotary, and then a phaser where I have set up something pretty cool with the LFO offset on there. You can see I've got the phase at 90 degrees. So I'll let you just hear the chunky sound. Then when I kick this in, this is going to give you this wider than wide modulation. Too much fun. I'm going to leave it right there. If you want this preset, I will pop it up on Exchange. My IR is linked in the video description. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, check the video description for different ways you can support my channel directly, whether it's via Patreon or via some of the music that I make. You can come to my Discord server and chat a little bit more about all this fun stuff. Otherwise, have some fun with this. Try your favorite amps in this dual setup, whether it's using one or the other, or whether it's using both of them together, whether it's in a sparse preset or a fully decked out preset. I really hope you enjoy what we did today, and I will see you all next time. Take it easy.